Hello, welcome to my Factorio tutorial. I'm KatherineOfSky. One of the most oft repeated queries I see on the forums is, how do I set up oil? It's hard, it's terrible, it's horrible. And today I'm hoping to hopefully demystify that process a little bit. And it starts with thinking about oil as basically conveyor belts and assembly machines, except replace the conveyor belts with pipes and assembly machines with chemical plants and refineries. So I'm going to show you in this video how to set up basic oil processing when you first get the technology, and leave space in your factory so that when you get advanced oil processing, you'll have enough space to expand it and change around the machinery. So I'm going to leave an annotation if you're already at advanced processing, but I just want to show the entire process from when you get basic oil processing. Obviously, this is an established factory, but I've deleted all of the oil processing so that I could do the video, and I have plenty of materials to do so. So what I've got is a train coming in, bringing in barrels of oil, and they're all emptying into these tanks. So we're going to have a nice supply of oil. So this is going to be the oil pipeline we're working from. You can also connect, of course, pump jacks to your oil system, and I will show you a few of those a little bit later, but this is mostly going to be about the refining process. So the first thing you need to do is grab a refinery, and that is this machine right here. So notice on the input side it has 2 arrows, and on the output side it has 3. So what we're going to do is leave a little bit of space, because what I want here is to have a we're going to have a liquid bus going on. And the first thing I want to put on that liquid bus is right here. It is the crude oil. The next thing is going to be water from these water pumps. Now you're not going to need water until you get to advanced oil processing, but that's okay. We will get there. So I guess I can put this a little bit closer. And yeah, that can be right here. I'll just leave the space. There's no harm in leaving space. So the first thing you're going to choose is basic oil processing. This is what you're going to have at the very beginning of your, when you research oil. So what I usually do to start out is make pipe lengths from 1 to 3. And as you put each refinery down, leave a space in between them. And do the same for each of the particular types of oil. So heavy oil, I usually put 1, light 2, and petroleum 3. And with this, we're going to create basically an expandable network of oil refineries that are going to share the products along their entire length. So do you see how I'm connecting them with underground pipes? This is going to allow them to basically shove all the liquids along these things without interconnecting with each other. So these fluids are not going to mix. They're all going to be in their own separate things. And this is where I'm going to extend the liquid bus by going and basically putting them along this way, so that all of these materials are going to flow along this way. So in case we run out of room on this side, or want to add more refineries out here, or have other needs for these different products, we'll be able to add them on later on. So we also need to connect the oil. In basic oil processing, the oil would be, well, if you had, let me just put one over here. This is how I like to just remember it in my mind. If you align it upwards, so the arrows are up, you have 2 crude oil inputs. But when you get to advanced oil processing, you have 2 different ones. And this is the key bit. You got to remember that water is on the left. So basically these are going to be 2 different products. So we're going to do kind of the same thing here. We're going to have a short and a long pipe and connect them very similarly to the way we did the outgoing products. So I'm just going to take a lot of underground pipes. And the reason I use underground pipes, oops, that was wrong. No, see, if there was stuff flowing, I would have screwed it up. Okay, goodness me. Okay, so anyway, you need tons and tons of underground pipes to do this, but just have them made in a factory and call it good. The reason I like underground pipes is you can actually walk between them. See? So you can actually walk between these refineries without having them totally jammed together. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that this is going to be water, and we're just going to connect it to a water pipe directly. And that's going to be here. We already have water on our little liquid bus here. And there we go. So when these get to have advanced oil processing, like this, they're already ready to go. Now, when you have regular oil processing, it does not hurt to have this as a water connection, and there is no bonus for filling both of the input connections with oil. Just know that. Okay, so this one, I'm going to move this a little bit. There we go. And we will connect the crude oil down here. Great, so we actually have oil flowing into these structures. Let's put some power poles in between here, power these guys up, and you can see the flame is burning. When that flare is burning, then they're processing. As you can see, they're processing here, and they're going to start basically filling these pipes with liquid. Petroleum is purple, light oil is yellow, and heavy oil is orange, which you can't really see because there are no open pipelines. But eventually these things are going to build up. So we need a way to get rid of them, essentially. What I'd like to do first is add one tank for each of the types. So I'm going to do that by, actually we can do maybe this way. I'll do it this way. This is good. So I'll have one tank for, this is going to be heavy oil right there. And the product we make out of heavy oil pretty much is just going to be lubricant. It's also used, however, in flamethrower ammo. So what we need to do is connect a couple of lubricant making machines to make sure we have enough of this stuff. It's good stuff. We like it. And I could probably do it like that. Now these I'd like to put kind of in a structure that's close together, like this. And I connect these two ends, and then I can have the lubricant or the heavy oil going out to another set of these guys over here so that I can walk in between the buildings. And of course you need to power each of these structures as well. So let's just get that going. So these are powered, and let's select lubricant. Great. So 4 is going to be overkill, but I like to have at least 2 wide, just for future. You never know how much you're going to need. It's a lot easier if you just plan ahead for this. So upwards, if we go, basically what I want to do is connect 2 products to the actual factory, and you see them here. They're just a bus line going. They are lubricant and sulfuric acid, which we will be making in a second, but I just wanted to show you that these pipes go all the way to the main factory. So what I'm going to do is just I like to have a couple of tanks at least for lubricant, because heavy oil does get scarce, especially when you use advanced oil processing. So it's kind of nice to have a good supply of this stuff. And what I'm going to do is I will connect it to my main bus. Can I? All right, there we go. Here we are. And that way it'll start supplying the main bus. But another purpose of having these tanks here is so that I can connect them to the circuit network. And that's another thing that I'm going to be doing, is basically putting a large power pole near each of these structures so that it can connect. Oops, no, that doesn't connect. There we go. And they will be monitoring the levels, but I'm going to set up the circuit conditions after we get all of the basic processing done. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need is chemical plants to crack light oil into petroleum. Well, actually we do need, oh, I forgot, we also need a couple of chem plants to basically process heavy oil into petroleum, or no, heavy oil into light oil, pardon me. And those are going to be here. but we're pretending we only have one technology so far. But notice how I'm going to keep a distance so that these pipes and these do not intermix, because if I put them too close, guess what? Lubricant's going to flow all over the place. So I'm going to delete those. You want to have at least one space between these things until, and maybe it will happen, the devs might create directional pipes. We don't know, but we're hoping they're added at some point. But until now, if you plop regular pipes next to other pipes, they will connect. So don't do that. It's not good. All right, so this is going to be the line for that type of cracking. The next line we want to do is going to be for cracking of light oil into petroleum. So I'm going to leave, this is going to be a space for, this is going to be light oil coming out. That's going to go back to the tank. And this is going to be for petroleum to come out. And that's going to go to the bus. All right, so the way we set that up is these guys need to be 2 spaces apart. And we're going to do a braiding of pipes, kind of like the other, like the refinery setup. And this is going to be light oil cracking. And that will be controlled via a tank. And I'll just kind of put it on the same level here. That should do right there. And that's going to be for light oil. So what I'm going to do is connect this light oil, the bus for it. Just kind of take these pipes along as we're going along. Great, lines up perfectly here so that those are not unhappy. And that goes there. Okay, so now this one can start filling up with light oil. And we will connect this to the cracking when we get to the cracking. And what do we have now? So the problem with refining is that the refineries will not operate if there are excess products in the system. And I'm sure a lot of you who are new to the game have run into this issue. It's like, why are these things not working? Well, it's because all the products have to leave the refinery before they can process a new batch of oil. So in this case, we still have a lot of petroleum in here, and we need to get that into its own tank. So guess what we're going to build next? We're going to build a tank for petroleum. So I'm going to leave another little bit away so that we can start making the petroleum products. And those basically consist of, we need plastic to be made from petroleum, and there is sulfur, which goes into sulfuric acid. So let's start with plastic, and those things are going to require coal, which I have up here, and sulfuric acid needs iron. So let's put down, these things can be a little bit, I don't know, kind of complicated to set up, but it's okay. We will get to it. And let's just put in, I like to put the tanks so that they can kind of sort of line up with the machines in question. And in this one, we want to leave some rooms for some pumps. So let's get this going. Oh, this is great. Get that one going there. How does that one will connect there? Excellent. And if these things don't connect correctly, you can always move them over. All right, so there are 2 things. We're going to make plastic with this one. And I will show you how to set that one up. And I think this one that needs petroleum in. And I like to leave a space between these because we need all 3 inserters on the front of them functioning. Usually with basic oil processing, I start off with 4 chemical plants making plastic. And I tend to connect them like this, basically, so that I have walking space in between, here, like between these 2. All right, and these are going to go here. And I will put power poles in between. Actually, I shouldn't put them in the middle, because what happens is if you decide to change things like modules or whatever, sometimes you accidentally click and then remove the power lines, and life is not good, and yeah, it's not good. So what I've been doing is there's a nice well, with the stack bonuses on inserters, it's actually a lot faster to get out the product. These produce very, very quickly. In 1 second they produce 2 plastic bars. and that needs to be put on a nice belt line. So what I'm going to do is just do like a simple setup here. I've been fooling around with more complicated ones, like there's one where you can do a something, let me show you, like this. And these will go into a this. Okay. With a decent stack bonus, you should be able to get all the materials out. Okay, so this is going to be coal coming in on this line. By this stage, you will only have red belts. So just ignore my blues. I just happen to have them on me. Okay, there we go. And we're going to curve these around, and this will kind of like split up the, kind of feed both sides of the belt here with that. And I have a plastic line already going. It's over here. There we go. And this is basically going back to the factory and feeding the main bus line. So now we also need this coal, and I think I'm just going to go around and basically kind of just put it around this area so that I have plenty of room to expand my machinery. There we go. So coal should be coming in and basically feeding this plastic line. All right, let me add these long distance power poles to put by these tanks. All right, great. And we need just one more thing for here. But for now, let's just put a pipe because we won't have had the electric engines by this point. So now, the other thing that you need to do is make sulfuric acid. And that is accomplished pretty easily by creating, we need 5 sulfur plants. I think, can these, oh no, they have to be spread apart. The reason for that is, as you can see, we have 2 different products, and so they need to have this kind of like braided line. So we need 5 of these guys, and we get these. And I'm doing a lot of this manually because this is what you're going to have. You're not going to have robots at the time. So, but the easy thing is you can just blueprint one of these sections and then just plonk it down very easily, including with modules when you get those as well. So it's a lot easier to do it that way. Okay, and so the important thing is that we're controlling this flow of these 2 items from the tank. We're not pulling it straight off of this bus. I usually use this liquid bus basically to return fluid to the input of the tank, whereas the output is what controls the output of these various chemical plants and allows us to balance things. All right, so what we want to do is these guys are going to output some petroleum. Oh, and we need to connect up the water. That's another thing. All right, this is still a petroleum. There we go. And let's get the water from the bus. And it's right down here. I didn't bring it across. There we are. Perfect. All right, excellent. So now these guys have pretty much everything they need at the moment. And I'm just going to put the power poles in. There we are. And there's still enough room for inserters. I'm going to have, I think, it depends on how fast you are, or how high of a research level you have on your inserter stack bonus. But basically 2 inserters on these until you have enough. These both output onto the, oh, and I can't do it here, can I? Oh no. Let's see, can I be sneaky? and do this. I can do this, but this will only have one output. Well, it should, let's see, it makes 2 sulfur in 1 second. It should be fast enough to feed this thing. So we will hope. We'll just, yeah, we're going to hope that's going to be okay. If it's not, we can always organize it and do it better. All right, so the next thing we need to do is transfer this to a sulfuric acid machine. And that will be here. And let's see what other products we need for that. All right, right here. We need iron plate and water. Okay, so this is going to go, also we're going to just continue the water coming into these areas. Okay, and what I'm going to do is space these guys one apart. So we have enough room for a power pole, which is important. Okay, I'm going to bring this up. And these guys are going to, there's a couple of ways you can do this. Mainly, let's see, we do need two belts upward, and we're going to need 2 types of inserters. And down here, I have the iron that needs to go in there. And we don't need the steel, so I'm going to sneakily take it off with a half of a underground belt and belt it across like this. It's a little bit squiggly, but we don't need the steel to be filling up that belt and cluttering things. Oh, I thought those spiders. Oh dear. Which I shouldn't think of because I have a wall. I have a big wall around my whole base that protects from the biters. They are, yes, I have a wall all around which is protected by roboports and repair packs and all kinds of fun stuff. So, all right. Alrighty, so here I think I might just do this way and have the sulfuric acid go up this way into a tank up there somewhere. Because we need the 2 different inserters, we need a long-handed, and we need the fast, or even better, a, what should we call it? Oh, I don't have any. A stack inserter. I thought I would not need a stack inserter for this. But let me just grab one, or a few. Oh, there's my roboport. Come on, robots, bring them. Thank you. Oh, and belts too, apparently. Great. Oh, there they come. Okay, great. I'll just kind of bring this down. There we go, so that it won't be such a pain to get them next time. All right, so get a stack inserter, which can basically grab up to 12 products at a time, and you need all of that sulfur for that. So now we can just basically transfer this sulfuric acid to a tank. And here, remember, these are our pipes that go back to the base and basically supply our base with the sulfuric acid for processing units and batteries. Okay, so let's just kind of take this up here, and I'm going to build a tank around here. That looks good. Something like that is okay. Great, so now we have everything is in a tank, and it's very important to do so. The reason for that is so we can measure things. I want to be able to know how much is in that tank because in that way I will be able to control it. Okay, so this is connected there, and I'll just put another one there for easy measuring. So what happens when you have all of these things are filling up? It's like, oh my gosh, I need more space. Basically, you will start to get basically filled up on light oil first. What you can do is just plunk down another 1 or 2 tanks until you get advanced oil processing. I highly recommend that the advanced oil processing is your very, very first research under Blue Science. All right, so what we want to do now, we have just researched advanced oil processing. Hey, next thing we do is we're going to switch over all of our refineries to advanced oil processing. And basically that gives us a higher percentage of petroleum and light oil, which can be cracked into petroleum. So we also get the ability to do cracking, and basically that is converting one type of oil into the next highest type. So let's set up cracking for heavy oil, and we shall basically, we're going to set a condition for this to happen. Now what I would like to do is set up all of these tanks. We're going to connect them on the same network, so that all of the data is going to be on the same network. Notice I am only connecting one of the lubricant tanks. So let's just connect this pole to this. Oops, okay. Basically connecting the poles together and then connecting the poles to the tanks. All right, great. So if I look at any of these poles, I should have the values for all of the oil products. Yes, heavy, light, and petroleum, as well as lubricant and sulfuric acid. We're doing well. All right, the next thing we want to do is learn how to control these things. So lubricant, I want the max amount possible. I want this always running, so there's never going to be a restriction of having a pump on this thing. So no pump for this. Now cracking, I want to happen basically when there's too much of too much heavy oil and the lubricant is full. So let's just do that. I think I need to move this one over. Don't quite like it there because I forgot it needed 2 inputs. All right, so let's choose heavy cracking to light. And we will do this way. And we'll connect the water down here. There we are. And then heavy oil is going to be controlled via a pipe or a pump. I apologize. There we are. And the pump is going to go here. So we'll power up this building. And one other thing is we need to connect this light oil down here onto the light oil bus. Or you can connect it directly to an empty port of the tank if you like. I just find it easier to have everything on the bus. It seems more workable. Okay, so let us just put this over there. And so this is now powered. The pump is not yet powered, but we're going to put a power pole here. And I want it to work only under certain conditions. So basically, I want to have maybe a little bit of leeway in my tank. Oops. So I'm going to use 2 decider combinators. And I'm going to connect the output of each to this pump because they're going to send a signal telling the pump when to work. Now the input of these is basically going to be dependent on the readings we get from the entire system. So I'm going to connect the inputs of both of them to this big power pole. Okay, and the first one's going to say, it is going to ask, do we have enough lubricant? Now, I want lubricant to be greater than, say, 2,300 units. And that 2,300 units is basically the amount that's in one tank, but since I want 2 tanks full, it's that lubricant's going to spread out over both tanks, but still we're going to have the same percentage in both of the tanks, which is going to be around 2,300 units. So if this is true, then we're going to output 1 blue square. Okay. Now this one, I'm going to ask the system if there is more than 100 heavy oil, because I want there to be a little bit of excess in the tank. Oops. Okay, there we go. So if there's more than 100 heavy oil in this tank, we're going to output 1 blue square. Now, if the conditions of both of these are true, we are going to have this pump work, because then we have enough lubricant, we have excess heavy oil, and then we want our cracking to happen. So if it's equal to 2, then this will work. So that is the way we're going to get oil, heavy oil, to be cracked in this fashion. All right, and we have now gotten to the limit on our light oil, so let us put some more of these down. There we go. It's really much easier to do these guys with a blueprint for these. All right, so this is gonna be light oil to petroleum. The primary products of light oil are basically fuel blocks and cracking to petroleum, basically. So we're gonna want that to happen all the time. So I'm just gonna connect this via these short pipes. Oops. I should have basically put the horizontal pipes in first. It's a lot easier to connect them. And as you see, if you stagger the machines themselves, you can easily sort of braid these pipes together and they will not interact with each other, which is nice. Okay, so this one is going to go down to water. There we are. All right, great. And let me just connect up the water on these guys as well. All right, so those are all done. And I'll get the power poles in here, so those can all be powered. Oh, and okay, that one is connected to this one. So we're also going to connect the petroleum in a similar manner. Because the braiding on these is so thick, it makes it hard to get through, so I don't even bother putting undergrounds on this petroleum here. All right, so let's just connect these up. And basically this will feed straight into the petroleum tank with no need to fret about, you know, messing up this system, which we're going to connect next. Get rid of this, it's just an excess. There we are. All right, great. So this is going to start to go lower, hopefully. As these guys are working, you can see that there's a little bit of green pooling in this thing here. That means they are functioning. So basically they, and it looks like the bar of light oil is already going down as they're starting to process this. Now, a lot of times you will come into a problem where you don't have enough plastic, you don't have enough sulfur being made. Here we're having a little bit of an excess at the moment because the factory is not producing much. But we want to ensure that these structures both get equal amounts of petroleum to function, because sometimes the fluid dynamics in the game are a little bit funky, so they sometimes unequally spread the liquids around. So what we're going to do is also we're going to connect these to the tank, and they're only going to operate if there is more than 500 or 100 units in the tank. And the reason for this is that if there are 100 units, it can equally split between two outgoing pipes. All right, so there we go. Because what happens is on a T-junction, sometimes they split weirdly if there is not enough pressure in the pipe. So this is what we're trying to prevent with these pipes, and they basically will pump them equally into these two areas. All right, so now we basically have everything sorted out. As you can see, the light oil is going down, and we have lubricant is not cracking at the moment, is it? Nope, not at the moment. Let's see, do we have enough lubricant in our tanks? Not yet. So only when that fills up, then we will get cracking on that. But as you can see, it's not moving right now. So each of these systems is expandable vertically up. Just take a blueprint and plonk it down. Like, I'll try to give you an example like this. There we go. There it is. And robots make it a lot easier to do this. Be sure you have plenty of oil refineries and lots of light oil cracking. When you get to the point where you need fuel blocks, you can leave an additional space for those chemical plants, or you can put them down in another area, for example, and set up a combinator system similar to this, where, you know, if there is, you know, X amount of petroleum, then you can convert the rest of the light oil into fuel blocks, or you can prioritize it different ways depending on your needs. Because for the rocket, you do need fuel blocks and you do need plastic. So it's kind of important to balance that. But this kind of combinator balancing system works really, really well. Another thing you could do is, if you want a specific amount of light oil, like to have a little extra, you could put a pump here and also connect it with a simple circuit condition to the tank or to the pole, either way, and say you can, you know, push out product if it's greater than 100. And that also ensures that you'll have enough light oil for a flamethrower building, which I will build right now because that's always nice to have. I'll build it right over here because there's kind of an empty spot where there's stuff going on here. So let's, actually I can move it up one so we can be a little bit closer to that nice iron line. Hey. So let me build that. The flamethrower is highly essential to one's well-being in this game. Biters don't like them, and that's a plus. It's all good. They can sort of suffer onward. It's okay. All right, or I could just do this. Yeah, having undergrounds, more undergrounds, yes, it's more wasteful on materials, but it is very compact and allows you to travel through these things. Oh dear, look what I've done. I need to move these combinators. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blueprint them so we don't have to redo them. And then I'm going to delete them because I just need that one square. I can't believe I did that. All right. And I will put the outputs onto this thing as we had it before. And then the inputs were on the pole. There we are. Okay, and now we have enough room to put our nice connection to the heavy oil right here. And we need this iron, and then we can have this outputting to a chest somewhere. Let's make one of those. There we go. And we can limit it to something like 3 stacks, and then make sure it is in the RoboPort network, which it is already in the network. So, and we can even limit it via the inserter. Instead of having this that red X, we'll just do logistics network connect if flamethrower ammo is less than 150. You can put them in the box. So this one will build, you know, up to 150 flamethrower ammo. And since this is connected off the liquid bus and it's not controlled by any of the pumps, it will be prioritized. All right, well, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any additional questions, do please feel free to ask in the comments section, and I will either answer you there or possibly create an addendum to this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm KatherineOfSky. Take care of yourselves and each other. See ya.